Okay, so this demo is going to go through how to create a basic animation using some different tools and just some different concepts. So first thing, we're going to go ahead and make a new project. And again, we'll go with the 6 by 6 inches, 72. At this point, you can really mess with the size if you want to. I just wouldn't go really large, probably stay within 12 by 12. Always staying with 72 resolution for a GIF. From here, first thing we're going to do is actually make sure we have a clear background. If it's locked, you want to double click the lock and unlock it. Otherwise, you can create a new layer. This can be our background. So for the background, what I want you to do is just pick two colors for a nice gradient that we're going to put in here. Something not too overwhelming, hopefully. And I'm going to go with a gradient, make sure it's all good up here. And I'm going to go with a linear gradient this time. You can see I'm making my choices up top. And I'm just going to pull this down and see what it looks like. Okay, that looks pretty good, so I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do next, we're basically going to make something popping out of just like a box. We're going to make this box look three-dimensional. So I'm going to make a new layer, and first thing I need to do is make the front of my box. So what I'm going to do is grab my polygonal lasso. Now you can use any of these for drawing things. We may go back and use some of these later, but polygonal lasso is what we're going to use today. And what I'm going to do is start making box. So I'm going to start with just a vertical line about the middle of my page. I can always change if I mess up. And you can hold down shift if you want this to stay straight. And then you want to click. And then I'm going to put this a little bit higher. So I'm going to make this in a little bit of a perspective angle here. And once I have that, I'm going to go get my paint bucket now. And we're going to pick a color scheme to work with this. Now pick something that's going to be a little bit different. So I'll pick like a darker blue or darker teal. And then I'm actually going to change the colors every once in a while as well. So now I'm going to make the same basic shape, just a mirrored version of it. And this is on the same layer. And I'm just connecting the dots. If it doesn't connect, you want to double click. For this one, I'm going to change the color a little bit. So I'll make it a little bit darker or lighter, depending on what your preference is, just to make it look three-dimensional. Okay, and then Command D to deselect. Okay, so I have this kind of laid out, and now we're going to start working on the back of the box. Okay, now the back box is a little bit of an optical illusion. I make a new layer, but I actually want that layer to be between my background and that front box. So I'm going to get my polygonal lasso, and I'm going to just make this box. I'm kind of making sure it goes behind these ones already created. Doesn't have to be perfect back there, just has to make sense in terms of what we're seeing. Okay, and then for this one, I want to go get a actually lighter color. So I'm going to go up here. We'll go with this one. Paint bucket and fill it. Okay, and make sure you are on the right layer. So you should have your background, your front of your box, and you can title these if you'd like. And the middle, which is the one we're working on now. So I'm going to deselect. I'm going to make that last shape, which is this kind of back corner of it. And I'm going to change the color of this one again, so maybe slightly darker. And get my paint bucket and then fill it. So mine's not 100% perfect, but you kind of get the idea. If this box is too high, what you can do is you can hold down shift and select both those layers at once. Get your move tool and just move these down as a chunk. Just lower that. And then you can put other, shapes or shadows in here if you wanted. We're just going really basic for this one. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start drawing my character. Now, I would use a Wacom pen for this. I don't have one with me right now, so I'm just kind of, freehanding this thing. And I'm just going to make like a little devil monster guy. So I'm going to turn off all my layers here, and I'm going to make a new one. And I'm just going to draw this guy. I'm going to use my brackets to shrink down my brush size. And I'm going to make sure I have a hard edge brush versus one that has a soft edge. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to make this guy's body. And I'm probably going to draw him too big, so I'll shrink him down later. Okay, I'm going to go with my paint bucket to fill that. You see how there's a little line? Double click it, it fills it in. All right, go back. I'm going to put some arms on him. Maybe shrink down my brush a little bit. It should be okay. Okay, put an arm on him and some hands. Nothing too beautiful today, but good enough with the mouse. Okay. And then the other thing you want to do is maybe just put on a couple other things for them. So I'll put on just some horns because he's a little devil dude. And then maybe some shapes for eyes. So create one eye, I'm gonna hold down shift and just make the other one. Go get my paint bucket and fill them both. And then I want to put some black in there too for them. There's pupils. Switch that to black. Okay. Deselect that, and then I'll put like a little mouth on for him. So there's my devil guy. Now, let's see what he looks like in the whole grand scheme of things. I'm going to turn on my other layers. You can see how he kind of fits into the image. Now, eventually, what I want to do here, and I have my auto select and my show transform on here, is I want him to pop out of this box. Okay, so he's actually going to need to be behind the top layer. Okay, so I changed them, I'm going to hit enter, just shrunk him down so he would fit in there. And then this is basically the idea of what we're going to have him do. But we're going to add one extra thing in there too. So we're going to start in there. He's going to pop up. Okay, but we're going to have him move his arms too. Now for the movement of arms, I'm going to turn off these other layers so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to right click and duplicate that layer. Hit OK. So now there's two of them. I'm going to turn off one of them. All right, and then you can do this a lot of different ways. But what I'm going to do is actually just to change his arms, I'm going to lasso around one of them. Release, get my move tool, and then I'm just going to rotate it into a new position. Let's get this other one going. Okay, so I'm just, oops. Will that let me? All right, if something weird happens, you can, like right there, there's some issue. So I'm just going to go back and just deselect and redraw over that arm just so I can put it, I can move it and put it in position. So when I grab my move tool, it should, there we go. Somehow I got deselect from that layer. It should allow me to move that selection, and then I can put it in its new place, and then hit enter, deselect. Okay. Now this thing's all solidified, so I wouldn't be able to change that anymore. Okay, so now what I have is my one monster, my second monster. Now you could change other things, like I could maybe say on this one, this top one, I could go and change his face too, and that way, you know, that's the change. Okay, so I'm turn on all my layers except for one of the monsters, and then down here in my animation, I'm gonna probably put this at 0.2, and I'm gonna go make a new frame. Okay, and on frame 1 he's gonna look like this, but I'm gonna have the guy be lower. Okay, so he's gonna be hiding in the box. Frame 2, he's not gonna be visible. The other guy's gonna be visible, and he's gonna be slightly higher. Okay, and then another layer, or I'm sorry, another frame. I'm gonna turn him off. Turn on the new one. That guy will be even higher. Try to keep him so he stays in the box, so he's not totally popping out there. And then what I'm going to do is just repeat this guy for a couple times. So turn on one, turn off the other. And reasoning is basically just to make it look like he's doing something. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. All right. Now you can see here at the end, he comes up and then he kind of just pops down. If you wanted to, you could actually go back to where he was moving upwards. I think it would be these 3 frames here, and I could, let's see, shift select them, copy frames. So I'm going to go over this caret over here, copy my frames, and I'm going to go to the end here, and I'm going to go paste frames, and it's going to ask me, I want to say after selection, so I'll hit OK, and now this will loop, so I'll wave his hands and stuff, and then I'll go back down, or he should have. Okay, there he is, there he is. Oh, okay. So the other thing we want to do is we want to reverse it. So these last 3, we're going to shift select them. I'm going to go over here and we're going to reverse those frames that we just copied. And let's see what this looks like now. So it's going to pop up and then slide back down. So you can see with those last 3 frames, all I did was copy the first ones, pasted them, and then reversed them. And then from this point, you can go ahead and you can export this for web and devices and save your stuff. And you're good to go.